Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
So Logan, you're going to be chucked under the bus here immediately. The music's still playing in people's ears in the background, and you're going to be asked to lead on this particular story.
Yep.
Rocket League players have reacted with anger to the news that they will soon not be able to trade items with other players. An announcement made by developer Psyonix revealed that on December the 5th, the player-to-player trading functionality in the game will be removed. According to Psyonix, the change is being made to bring Rocket League in line with other games published by parent company Epic Games, which also don't allow trading of in-game items. So you are the Rocket League man, regardless of what you say. You play it an awful lot. Not necessarily whether you're involved in the community at all. I suspect not, because the amount of poison that must be floating around those leagues and whatnot, and what's lurking. But they've been in the news a little bit because there was Epic of laying off 16% of their staff. There was rumours that Psyonix was one of the developers hit by that, although mostly in the esports department. But I wanted to bring this to a head, because it's not often we get a legitimate reason to talk about Rocket League, and this made the VGC headline news for the past week or so, and I took those quotes directly from their article, so thanks very much for that. But what's going on here? I must admit, I never even knew there was in-game trading between players, and I'm wondering, is there a whole content creating thing there where you can create your own liveries, and is that what's going on? Start on the top and tell me what all this nonsense is, because I've lost track of Rocket League. It was just a game where you use cars to score goals, and now it's got all this going on, so help me out.
Yeah, so to be honest, I was trying to think of the genesis of where it got to, really, because Rocket League, when it was released, I think player trading got introduced quite early on, right? And there used to be, I'm trying to think how they did it, but you used to buy keys, I think, for basically loot boxes. I'm pretty sure that was kind of like the original way of getting cosmetics. But this was way before Epic purchased it. So because
it wasn't free to play initially. I know it went on the PlayStation Plus subscription when it released, which gave it a big boon. But for the longest time, you had to pay for it. And then Epic bought it, turned it free to play, unified all the accounts, and this, I guess, is one of the long hangover effects of that acquisition.
Yes, exactly. So essentially, there's a bit of a genesis to it in that they changed how you acquired cosmetics and all this various things. There was for a period of time, a number of years ago, you would quite frequently go into a game, like a casual game, and all people would say to you is trade. Like, genuinely, it was like people just wanted to trade items quite a lot. And that's died off lately, sort of in the past few years, really.
So that T-Rex sound effect, could you have traded that? Or is only certain items that were tradable?
Yes. So certain things you would...
That's poor. I won't do that again.
No, well.
You
so
there's certain...
It's tricky.
In a minute, and you might have to get
some
momentum going.
Trying to. It's still early. Had a few beers last night and not had enough coffee this morning. And all those things combined are making it tricky to come up with a coherent thought.
Well, I'm not helping just blurting in nonsense about T-Rex sound effects, which no one will understand because it's an inside thing. Logan had a T-Rex sound effect that he got from a battle pass, I think. Yeah.
So this is the point, right? So I bought like a Jurassic Park thing years ago.
A couple of the cars, didn't it? Like the little bug.
Like two Jeeps.
That's it.
And this is what I mean. There's several bits that you bought that sort of has allowed you to be tradable and non-tradable. So my items are marked as tradable and non-tradable anyway. But basically, over the number of years the game's been out, there's been this kind of trading ecosystem, and there were tradable items that I could go to someone else and trade for one of my items. And if you didn't like a certain item but were looking for a certain item, you could trade it with another player. I think I didn't know this, but I follow some big content creators on Twitter, and they said originally to be able to trade items, you needed to have spent X amount, like £5 on tradable items or something like that. It's that £5, dollars, whatever you want to equate it to. So essentially I think when they moved things over from the key system to the current system, there was also a bit of a hoo-ha because people had paid for keys. And so anyway,
I use my key, It's like, well, use it now.
I think there's a bit of history to this whole thing, but essentially what essentially this boils down to is removing trading means the only way you can get new items is by buying them in the store. So essentially what you can't do is I couldn't go to P and go, oh, you've got that one, I've got this one, do you want to trade it? That's not going to be an option. It'll be a case of I have to wait for it to come up in the store, buy 20 quid's worth of points and get it there. So the argument that's being levied is, you charged us and asked us for money originally to be able to trade. We did that. You ain't going to give that back to us. And then what you're going to do is prevent me from trading items to other players in the future, and you're just going to make me buy it all. Meanwhile, we've been asking for you to do loads of things like updates on Unreal Engine 5, add different modes and develop the game. And you've literally sat there with your finger up your ass. And the one thing that you've come out with and done is take away saying that we wanted to keep, purely levied with this kind of argument that it's a money grab. So it's not gone down well in the overall community. From my perspective, I've actually never done any trading. There's nothing there that really, if
you want it, you would have got it yourself.
Well, kind of, but it's just not something that I've just played the game. I'm not hardcore and into collecting all of the liveries and decals and cars and it's not really something I've got into. If there's something that I like and I think, I want that on my car and it's in the store, I might consider buying it. And you can get points through the battle passes and all that kind of rocket passes and all that kind of stuff. But I think broadly the high level feedback from the community is we didn't fucking want you to take that away. No. And what we want you to do is give us more content and content creators the ability to create more content in your game. And what you're doing is taking away one of the ways that we used to do that. So, not been positively received, that's for sure.
No. Here's an interesting quote from Sarnik. They said, we're making this change to align with Epic's overall approach to game cosmetic and item shop policies where items aren't tradable, transferable or sellable, the studio explained. It also notes that once the feature is removed, this, quote, opens up future plans for some Rocket League vehicles to come to other Epic games over time, which Sarnix calls, quote, cross-game ownership. So I don't know what that last bit's all about. It seems like they'll be taking something away and giving you something you never asked for, and say, well, now that fucking buggy from Jurassic Park, you can use that in Fortnite, and it's like, well, I don't be wanting that.
Yeah,
I spend my time playing Rocket League, believe it or not Fortnite. I ain't got time for both of them. But the point of this, with reading those quotes as, they clearly are saying this is all to do with Epic's overall approach, Epic's policies and whatnot, and obviously they bought Sarnix a number of years ago. I think it's when Epic bought Sarnix and did seemingly very little meddling other than making it free to play, which seemed to make sense. Let's be honest. It was like, let's get this into a free to play model. Let's do rocket passes as well. And I don't know how they've been implemented compared to other ones, but I've not heard major negative stuff. But can you re-earn it again? Is it got that?
You can, the content, the content and the items they give you for them are pretty poor. There's
what can you do though? It's Rocket League. What else?
No, I know, but it's I don't know. It's really hard to explain. It's all just a bit. I mean, without getting boring people with all the detail, but you sort of get two sorts of people on there. You get sort of people who want to create these crazy.
You get one sort, the dregs of society, and then the subsections of these dregs, which you're about to go into. So let's get that right.
So, in terms of items, you get people that want to create these fucking ludicrous looking cars where nothing matches, everything's luminous, and then you get a portion of people that you see more often where they want cool looking paint jobs, and make them look a little bit more plain, if you like, but they don't really cater to that very much. I wouldn't say realistic necessarily, but kind of a more like traditional view of how you'd style a car. Like everything's a bit fucking wacky and balmy, and there is a meta of cars to use as well. So the one thing they have been doing on there is adding like real cars. So like this season you can get a Porsche, but the way the hitboxes work, there are 6 different types of hitboxes on the car, and there's one kind of meta car at the minute, or meta hitbox, that is used. And it's kind of like if you don't use that, you can't really use any of the other cars anyway. And that's where they kind of are with the Rocket Pass. But they do give you enough credits to be able to buy it again next season and stuff.
Yeah, that seems like the basic requirement these days.
One point I did want to mention, though, that might have got overlooked is I think there was a bit of scamming going along with people buying and selling items and stuff that I did want to highlight. And I think, this clearly does align. Like, there's very other games that allow you to trade purchasable items and stuff. Like, it is a legacy thing from Rocket League from years and years and years ago. And there is a bit of a scam piece going on. There's a particular boost that all the pros use called Alpha Boost. Like, it's really, really rare and really hard to get hold of. And I think if certain people get hold of it or have had it, they sort of hold it and try and sell it. And people might be trying to scam people saying, I've got Alpha Boost, give me X amount of money and I'll trade it. Yeah, like all this kind of stuff, I think sort of plays into it. So I can completely understand why they would want to get rid of this. Like, it doesn't fit with any modern game in terms of how you handle cosmetic items. But yeah, I just think the community feel like it's a bit of a crap on overall, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's one quote here. I mean, these are taken from Reddit. So again, I talked about the dregs earlier, but these are the true dregs. This is literally shitting on a big portion of the community. I'm not even going to read the rest of it. I just like that comment.
To be honest with you, I didn't really realise that like trading and stuff was a big thing anymore.
Look,
so
here's the thing about the internet, and here's the thing about fans. I see it in wrestling all the time. The overreaction of certain things happening is just like nothing else. You get a real warped view of actually what people on the ground are thinking and doing, and it all ties to reality just disappear. That's true. So you have to take that with a pinch of salt, but I think it's right to at least call out where things are changing, potentially for the worse, whilst also acknowledging that it probably isn't the absolute end of the world. And I mean, I don't know how many people are trading, probably quite a lot, but are most people tied to the trading system in Rocket League? That's the reason why they play it? I would suggest most people jump on for an hour a night to play their seasons, to get promoted, to not get promoted, and then they log off.
Yeah.
And
it's exactly
that's the fundamentals of it. One last question before we go.
Yes.
Epic taking over and buying Psyonix and therefore getting Rocket League, net positive or net negative? Because you've lived through the entire timeline of this from the very, very beginning. I mean, you already had it free to play because it was on that fucking subscription service.
I mean, to be fair, I think I might have bought it originally when I played it on PlayStation. I might have had to buy it because I think I missed the boat. But it was about 14 quid or something. It was like, I'm not too fussed about that. I mean, look, I think prior to that, they used to have some more, I don't know, the game hasn't moved on. Like, they had some new arenas and they've added some new cars and stuff, but like, I don't know, they haven't done a lot with it is the headline. And I think Epic have got it. They introduced the Rocket Pass system and they kind of made that a thing, and there's, you've got the item store and you can buy stuff and that. But in terms of like new game modes and limited time modes and things like that, there's been a bit of variety, but not a lot. And when you actually look at the list of stuff that they've done, it's not long. Like, and I think that's what people are saying now, is it's kind of a bit like a lot of the content creators. I follow one particular that does daily videos on his channel, daily Rocket League videos, and he's a former pro content creator, map creator. Like, to be fair to him, I tip my hat to him because he fucking must work his arse off to do it. But he even come out the other day and was basically like, look, I've been doing this for years now. Like, there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's looking to Epic and Psyonix and whatnot to see what are you actually doing? Because this game's been out fucking ages. Like, how are you taking this one to the next level? And I think that's what people want, is to see some sort of investment and communication to the community on what Rocket League's doing next.
Yeah. We'll watch this space and see whether it has any tangible effects. I always find that Sony, in their infinite wisdom, obviously locked this down and got it on their subscription service. That was one of the first big day oneers on the whatever it's called, PlayStation Plus back then.
I do want to say, I don't know whether that was more luck than judgment.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't judgment because, maybe it's just timing. But now there's this. I find it really funny that their initiative now seems to be, we want more live service games. And they literally had a relationship built with this easily purchasable company that had a platform that just needed to be built out. Yes, it was fucking years ago, but it just shows that passing ships in the night, if that happened 3 to 5 years later, they may well have thought, well, we've got one here already, we just buy these guys and then plug that in and go. Same with Fall Guys. So Epic bought them as well and turned that into a free-to-play type jobby, and that was again another PlayStation Plus day oneer. Yeah, but,
interesting, isn't it? How they sort of I wouldn't say let them slip through the net or whatever, but if that's the sort of stuff you want, and that's strategy.
I guess at the time that wasn't part of their strategy, and then a few years later they're like, well, we'll stop
imagine
doing
if they had Rocket League as an exclusive or something for PlayStation. Like that would be massive. I mean, I do have to say as well, one of the things I want to add before the comments go mad, is that there's way more available on the PC version than there is on like the Xbox version. So when people creating maps, and there's like a map editor and people create all this good stuff, it's all done on the PC side, but it's just not available to do via console. So there is, so although Epic, Sarnix, whoever it is, the developers aren't specifically doing it, there are people out there, and you can, if you've got the PC side, go and play all these funny custom maps and things, and like there is a bit more to do on it. But on the console version, it's very a very stripped down version of it, annoyingly.
Interesting. Well, we'll watch this space. If any updates come, we will, of course. Well, I won't, of course. We'll probably forget about it by then. But
of course, of course.
Rocket League gets a legitimate mention for once on Idle Game Chat. Speaking of Idle Game Chat, let's introduce the podcast. This is Dimp Digital's flagship show. You've got Apps, who's speaking to you right now, who's hosting. Logan is the man. I'm joined by the Rocket League expert, some saying. Fantasy Gaming League Grand Prix winner. Some are saying uncrowned FGL champion, but as we went through last week, still going to be tight and come down to the last game, most likely. If you want to support us, this is a grassroots and independent endeavour, so no silliness with corporate or gaming publishers or anything like that. Although if people want to pay us, we will take the money. If you do want to just support it from an independent perspective, patreon.com/Dimp Digital is the place to go to join the community. #hand in pocket. Little small update. We was talking about EA Sports FC 24, 5% downturn in physical UK sales last week. Now, we did say that's a very small segment of people, and so that doesn't necessarily mean that they've had a shitter. Well, EA, apparently, according to themselves, have attracted more than 11.3 million players worldwide, including those through EA Play. So for those that are wondering what that last sentence means, including through EA Play, I think you can play 10 hours of it if you've got EA Play as a subscription. So you get like a trial of every game that comes out. You get, I think it's 10 hours. They might even reduce it for smaller games, but let's just pretend it's 10 hours. And if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, EA Play is included in that, although you can get it on the PlayStation Store or PC. It's like £4 a month. It really is like that's the sort of subscription you'd let run by accident because it's a small amount. So it does include people that have played the trial, but they're obviously never going to give a split for that. So 11.3 million players. Last year, a similar press release came out from EA. Said record-breaking launch of FIFA 23 that had reached 10.3 million players. Now, they didn't mention about the EA Play people. So they may have massaged the numbers just slightly there to get the extra million, and maybe there's more than 1 million people playing it via EA Play. I say all that to say that it sounds like the name change isn't really going to make a difference. I don't think we expected it to, but any thoughts on that?
There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics.
Yes.
And that is the problem. I mean, I think, yeah, we've discussed this several times around the impact of it. I think it's always going to be really, really hard to truly ascertain what this name change has done.
Ain't going to be anything material, is it, by the looks of things? So
I think
it's almost not even
out.
It's a non-point, isn't it, at this stage?
Yeah, and I think it always felt like it was going to be that. I don't think it was going to attract, per se, more sales, just purely because of the name change. But I think there's obviously situational things we've discussed, like the overall success of football, how much people are interested in it, cost of living, like all these various things might kind of play into it. But I think what we could probably say is that it appears to be a standard year, and that name change hasn't really had any noticeable uptick or downtick in impact. So you'd probably argue good decision not to renew it. Yeah,
FIFA looked like fools, thinking that they... I don't know what they thought. Well, they were asking for more money than EA were willing to pay, which is fair enough, but they said they're going to have the best game out there, and they're clearly not... I had no idea how difficult it'd be to spin up a football game. Like, it'll be at least 2-3 years, and who are you going to get to do that? So they look like chumps. And EA, I mean, we don't like the name. EA Sports FC 24 is a diabolical name, but even with a diabolical name, you can still get the sales in. What do you think of this? EA Sports FC is getting a turn-based tactical spin-off. What are we doing? It's coming to iOS and Android early 2024. And replaces the typical EA Sports FC gameplay. Well, it says typical. There's only been one entry of that, so they're getting a bit ahead of themselves there. With quote, strategic turn-based gameplay.
I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. It could be an absolute masterstroke. I don't want to crap on it, but it doesn't sound overly like what you'd be looking for. But who knows?
But on a mobile device, though, that's probably that's the... Because you don't want to be playing that touchscreen real-time FIFA on that turt.
No.
I know people can plug controllers in, but let's talk about a typical... This is a proper mobile version of the game, not a ported down version. And this is really the only way probably you could think of doing it outside of a management game, but Football Manager's got that tied up already, so there's no point trying for that. Matches are simulated with turn-based opportunities to defend, attack, perform skill moves, and make attempts on target, resulting in an authentic football action like never before. Yeah, like never before, because the game don't operate like that.
Authentic football action like never before, turn-based. Talk me through that. That is a bit of an oxymoronic statement. I mean, well, it's true. It is never like before because no one plays it that way. Interesting.
I'm looking at one of the screenshots here, captured in beta, and there's like a number of different... There's all numbers on the screen. You can choose to dribble. You can do a 1-2 passing. It's got various numbers next to it. I don't know if that's points or stamina. There's something called power play on the bottom. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm never going to download this and even give it a try. But it is interesting. It's Son running against old Virgil.
Well, he's going to win that.
Is Virgil washed now? I ain't going to watch it enough. Is he?
I mean, I think what's been levied at him is that he ain't the player he was a few years ago, which is probably true, but they're still getting lauded as the best centre-back in the league.
Is he better than Slabhead?
Well, yes, you'd probably have to say that.
That's a low bar indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's an interesting spin on how to play football, but
yes,
I might pick it up just to give it a go when it's actually a full release, just out of curiosity. Who knows? It might fucking pique my interest.
Might do, yeah. It might be your gateway into turn-based games, and you'll be playing Persona 5 before you know it.
I did download there was a new turn-based game released by one of my favourite mobile developers, Supercell, and they released a turn-based version of one of their games called Mini Royale, and I actually quite liked that when it first was released. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I played it for a few days and haven't really done it since, so it doesn't really seem to keep my interest. It might pique it, but it doesn't keep it.
No. We'll see. If you do download it, give us a shout and you can have a little crap on it. Might pass a boring commute quite quickly, and then
that's what I thought.
Get neck ache, but there's far worse things that can happen on those trains than neck ache. Trust me.
Once I've finished watching the thick of it, there's an opening. So
yeah, that's the way to do it. FGO update: Lords of the Fallen 2023. This is the remake of Lords of the Fallen. It was originally called The Lords of the Fallen, and they changed the name back to the original title, which is Lords of the Fallen. I'm confusing myself as I say this, but needless to say, Adkins put this in his fantasy gaming league. It's scoring on a 75, so his streak of getting over an 80 looks like it's come to an end. I think there's about 40-ish reviews out there, so could climb, but it's not sounding like people are completely blown away with it, and the cap seems to be about 8 out of 10s on the high end, which is in line with the +5, -5 that we tend to look at. One little review here from Wesley LeBlanc, Game Informer. 6 out of 10 he gave, so slightly below the average. Despite a solid gameplay foundation, stunning world, and unique 2-realm mechanic, by the time I reached credits after 48 hours, I was overjoyed to be done.
I did see that, because I thought I'd see some of the reviews. I was like, it's never a good sign, is it, that when you get to the end of it, you're pleased to be done. I mean, to be fair, there's some games where I get to the end, I go, thank fuck for that. But then you can reflect on the whole experience and be like, well, was it actually that bad? But I think the thing that I don't often look at it, but then I saw one did a 4 out of 10 and another one did 2 out of 5. And I was like,
yeah, that's a Eurogamer, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, that's a bit off meta. I was like, so, but even their review wasn't that bad. Ed said, well, it's a bit of a letdown, but I was like, well, you could be more Ed.
That's the trouble with the 5-star system, isn't it? You get these 2s that don't mean complete toot, but actually when they get put into the 10 point, it's a 4 out of 10, which below average.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I say below average. Anything below a 7 these days is below average, it seems.
Yeah,
get shit on. So that's the trouble when they start mixing and matching these different types. Adkins, I said Adkins' streak has ended, but he's still on course. He's got Spider-Man 2, which by the time we record next time should have reviews out, and I don't think we would have necessarily played it because it'd have been maybe a tiny bit, but we're not going to have any opinions on it. That's what I'm trying to say there. But the reviews will be out. I think that's on the 16th that they drop. Although Game Explain dropped theirs early by accident. I saw that pop up in the Open Critic feed, and they rated it as love, which I guess is one of their higher scoring types of ratings they can give.
Interesting.
The best superhero game they've ever played. They've quickly taken that video down because it's broke embargo, so someone's going to get a bollocking there. Then he's got Like a Dragon Gaiden, which will be coming out later on this year. And the one I keep mentioning, The Day Before.
Yes.
So we're just under a month away from that releasing. No comms as we record this yet. Been radio silence from that particular developer. I went on their Reddit community page and they're all basically saying this game's either going to release and be awful or not release at all or be delayed again. So
no positive spin available.
No, the thing is, Adkins has got such a strong team that I don't think he needs this to score anything over a 50. Like it's that ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason it doesn't come, they delay it again. He's chucked it because all we had to do was put any old toot in.
Honestly, it's cockiness and arrogance. That's what it boils down to. Just wants to just keep being out there and going, oh. After Baldur's Gate 3, he just felt... He's like, I'm unbeatable. I can do no wrong.
Well, I would be concerned about that one, personally, and I would have just got any old yearly release tutor in. It didn't matter what it was, but...
It's an unnecessary risk, is what you'd say.
Yeah. Oh, God, what's this? The Day Before... sorry, I thought it said it'd been delisted. So this is from Yardbark. I've never used them before. So The Day Before is still delisted on Steam 1 month before launch. So it's just kind of echoing what I'd said there, that it's kind of gone amiss. Doesn't mean they can't just appear and stealth drop it. That absolutely can happen. But again, if you're trying to win fantasy gaming leagues, this was an unnecessary risk. So we'll see how it pans out. He may be vindicated, or it may throw away one of the easiest title wins we've ever seen. This would be a real... Like, this would be a real like blower, wouldn't it?
I'd be so fucking satisfied after how smug he was in that group after that Baldur's Gate 3. He was intolerable. So I will be mutually intolerable if this blows it for him.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out very soon. Is the good news. Sony, right? They're releasing a new version of the PS5. This is widely rumoured. I don't think we may have mentioned it in passing, but they've reduced the volume by more than 30%. Apparently, don't know what that means. What measurement that is? The weight by 18%, and 24% compared to previous models. Anyway, we don't care about that. It's basically a slim-ish version of the PS5. What's interesting here is that this modular design has come true. This rumour that was being circulated is that you can go out and buy the digital version of this, and then later on, if you get cold feet and think, oh, actually, I want a disc drive, it's a Blu-ray player. So if you want it as a Blu-ray player, for example, you can go out and buy it separately and attach it to the digital version. Here's the prices of said items. So the full fat is 480 UK pounds. That's in line with what we've got today. Digital's 390 UK pounds. That's in line with what we've got today. Now in America, I think they've actually upped the price of the digital, so it's $20 or $30 more expensive. I'm like, well, good riddance. We've had our price rises here. You can have a little sneaky one there. I don't know how much. I don't know what that means to me. $30 might be a lot of money. It might be nothing. But people are moaning about it anyway. Don't care. Let the American podcast delve into that. There's no price rise in this region, is what I'm saying. No stealth price rise in our region, which is what we care about. However, what they are suggesting here, what Jim's saying is, look, if you want that full fat experience, if you want the disc drive for whatever reason, be it Blu-rays, or you might want to borrow the odd game off a mate. He's basically saying, look, you get that full fat version up front, because if you want to go off and buy the disc drive separately, it's 100 UK pounds, which means that you're paying an extra 10, 15, 20 quid if you just bought it outright. So you go from 390. If you bought the 390 digital and then the disc drive at 100, you're paying 490. So you've blown a tenner. If you just bought it outright, 480. So this is the last kicker. 25 UK pounds will get you the vertical stand. Now the vertical stand came with the original PS5. I mean, it ain't the best, but it does the job. 25 UK pounds, and what they're saying is it's compatible with. Listen, it's compatible with all models, so it's adjustable. There is a horizontal stand in there. It looks like a clip. So if you want it on its belly, you can do that. But they have... The stand came with the original PS5. That's what I'm trying to get at. My question here is this Crooks of the Week territory?
It's fucking bizarre, honestly. There's only one or two things. It's complete fucking negligence how they've designed this fucker and like modularizing it like that, or it's designed to generate revenue. They're the only two possible outcomes. I mean, I can't believe the stand, and I'm looking at it right now, that have got the audacity to charge 25 quid for that.
Looks all right,
because
looks good.
The problem is the console itself looks shit, right? So that's the first mistake. The console's design it looks shit, and it doesn't stand on either end without support.
Yeah,
right? Xbox,
that's
to be
a
fair
blow.
to them, just went, we'll just make it a box, and now you can put it on the side or put it up however you want.
Yep.
And it looks better. It's smaller, it's sleeker, and it sits there quite nicely. And you got this fucker, this big old bastard sitting here looking like some sort of aeroplane wing. Doesn't fit in with anything, and I have to put it on a stand one way or the other. Like, it's madness. And the fact that they're modularizing that CD drive, the disc drive, is bizarre. Like, I get it. You wouldn't want to make the digital version plus the disc drive cheaper because everyone will just do that. But
well,
why even offer it?
Can I counter why you would want to make that cheaper slightly?
Yeah.
Because this puts... I mean, if anyone's doing the maths at home, they're like, if I've got even a thought of using the disc drive, I'm just going to have to buy the full fat edition. Which is fine. They get an extra 90 quid off you. I mean, these things cost... Well, we know... The whole thing I'm not going to go into that because we know everything's sold at a profit mostly, and therefore there's no point saying, well, so that would only cost 20 quid because there's literally everything you look around and buy in this room didn't cost what I paid for it to make. Did it?
That is capitalism, my friend, and that is the world we live in.
So that's not a valid point. But but my suggestion, my thought is that there is an incentive for Sony and Microsoft, when we saw those leaks about the next generation perhaps being digital only and the next version of the Xbox, a refresh being digital only, is that every game that's sold digitally on their storefront, they take 30%, third party or otherwise, at least.
Yeah.
So there is an incentive for them to phase out physical sales in some way because they haven't got to pay the retailers. They take more of a cut from the third party type of things and whatnot. So my thought would be you want to make the digital version more desirable. But by doing this, it makes it less desirable because it means if you change your mind, you're left cap in hand for an extra tenner to have a disk drive added to it. So it is bizarre. I think it is a bizarre choice to price it there. I mean, what you do is you just price it at the difference of the two consoles and say, if you make the decision later on, you don't lose anything. So that if you do decide to upgrade, you're paying the same as what you would have paid for the full fat initially. I wonder whether
just do that as the default option.
Wow.
Like this is the thing. It's kind of like surely they're making their life like if you're offering and supporting all these different products, like surely that must to a certain extent just be a production pain in the arse, or like surely you just want to go. These are the lines. Like
I reckon it's water testing, isn't it? It's to see what the appetite is for digital only. Because they want to pull the plug on this. There's no doubt that all these fucks are sitting there, be it Microsoft, Sony, don't know about Nintendo, they do what they want, but these two in particular are sitting there going, right, how soon can we get rid of these discs? Because it's a pain in the arse for us to be supporting it and dealing with it. So this is like a little tester, isn't it? We chuck a digital version out there. Xbox kind of skewed their own market because they made the Xbox Series S so much cheaper that a lot of people have just dived on that just for the savings, like more casual or people that are using it as a secondary console. So I don't know if they've got the right level of data there. Whereas Sony said, look, here's parity, both the same, just that one's got a disk drive, one hasn't. I don't know what the split is between the two. The only anecdotal evidence I have is when I went in to order my PS5 to game all those years ago, they had several hundred that were available for pre-order. I think I got there at about like 150 or something. And I originally got the digital version only because I was like, I ain't dealing with a disk drive. And he said, you're the first person to ask for that. No one else had asked for the digital version. Everyone had gone full fat. And I was like, that's interesting. Parky, I mean, this is more self-preservation from game. Parky went to order his digital one, and they said, we're not taking pre-orders on that. And he said, well, I don't want one then. And they said, well, we are. But they tried to like force his hand to buy the physical one because obviously from games perspective, if I walk out there with a digital one, there's almost no reason for me to shop in their shop for the whole generation.
Yeah.
And but also, I mean, Sony and Microsoft have to recognise that these retailers, as much as they take a cut on their games, they carry, I reckon, most of their hardware stock for the consoles. So just to get the consoles out to the public, they kind of needed to be there for people to go in and pre-order them and order them. Unless they get their own stores up and running to be catering for this sort of demand, but I don't know.
I still think, despite what they want to do, there will always be a portion like me where I'm just like, I don't trade particularly anyway. I'm not into the game trading thing. I did try and get into it, but it really annoyed me. And the way that games are now, where they make updates and add content and seasonal stuff, like you don't find yourself just sort of play a trade. Like you don't play it and then you're done with it. Very rarely anyway. Biff does, I know, but he's the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But I think there will always be a significant enough proportion of people that want to do that. That means there will be a business for someone like a game or a requirement for a disk drive. I mean, this PC, when I had that built, didn't get it built with a disk drive.
So it's weird to even ask for one nowadays. I mean, there used to be even when games, like when Steam come along, that basically did it. But even when that happened, there was still a contingent of software that you still need a disk to install using the disk drive. Now, you don't even need that. You download it, or you can load it onto a USB and plug it. It's basically gone in that sector. Absolutely.
So it's possible that consoles in the next 5 to 10 years will end up going a similar way, and you can bet your ass that they'd prefer if they did. But I suspect that if that did happen, they'd find a way of the games, would they renegotiate the cut that the consoles get from. I don't think it's a silver bullet for Xbox and Sony, but definitely at the moment you can see why it'd be a preference. They don't have to bloody build the hardware. They don't have to include that element in there, do they? So, but I'd still be surprised if there were, even if there was no console that included a disk drive, people would find a way, I think, to add a third-party USB drive or something like that would allow them to do it. I don't know. Interesting conversation.
It's definitely clearly something they would prefer to do. Whether they can actually implement it without cutting noses off to spite faces, I don't know. I always think there's always one more generation in physical, and I feel like we'll get to the end of the next generation and go, well, just one more. And it just seems to limp on, despite the merger of, or the emergence, of digital clearly taken over. I mean, we've tracked the figures on the European sales over the years, and that's gone way swayed into digital territory. But whilst the option's still there, people are still going to take it. And if they want to get rid of it, to be honest, and Adkins will be crying hearing this, they're just going to have to rip the plaster off and say it ain't available. That's the only way they'll ever snuff it out if they truly want to. But then who does that first?
This is what I was going to say.
And then does the other one go, oh, if you want your physical games, come to us. So neither can really afford to take that optical blow.
No. Can you imagine if Phil did that, friend of the show, and all-round good guy, went, we ain't doing,
that option.
No. I think they're waiting for someone to make the leap. The thing is, I think arguably for PC gaming, as you said, it's already been done. It's just not a thing. I don't think it would be a huge stretch, but obviously the market on consoles is different. There's a huge trade-in and market. As you say, what are the relationships like with the game of the world, the CEXs, all that kind of stuff, and who knows? Interesting conversation, but I think it will. It feels to me like it's an inevitability. It's a case of when, not if. That's my gut feel.
Yeah, I'll tend to agree with that. I think what we'll see, I mean, this gen's locked in. You're going to see almost. We've got Alan Wake 2 coming up, which is not doing a physical release. We discussed that. And there's a couple of, I would say, smaller developers / publishers doing that. And obviously the indie space is just full of digital only because it makes sense. So I think this generation will still be locked in. Like the big major publishers are still going to support it all the way to the end and whatnot. What we might see next generation, and again, famous last words, is that less of the big boys do the physical stuff day and date, and they offer like a limited run type physical special release after kind of the game comes out as like more of a collector's item than a way to play the game.
Well, it's basically what it is now anyway. There's no data on these discs anymore that I can see, really. They're just a tick in the box to get a download. But I was going to say, it's a good point that you raise about Alan Wake 2, because it might not be determined by the consoles. It might be determined by the developers and the publishers, right? Yeah. They might lead that, and then Xbox go, well, there's no demand for it, and Sony goes, no demand, we're not building it.
We can't help you.
And I was actually thinking, perhaps this is something that Xbox might drive through their studios, through the Game Pass service and everything like that, to reduce demand over a period of time. So, like, imagine if a big release from them come down the line. Imagine if Call of Duty was digital only, like a Warzone, which it is, right? But this is what I mean. It's kind of like not everyone's going, but it's free to play. So there's some nuance to it, but it's an interesting concept, and it's kind of already there. And
it's already working to a certain extent. Yeah.
As we're having this discussion, we're going, hang on a minute. it's actually more there than we even perhaps thought it was for a lot of games. I mean, you don't go out and buy Fortnite, right? Like you don't go out and buy Apex Legends, like so. I think there's still, I think the transition's already happening, but everyone's just got so used to this kind of single player, if you like, solo experience trading thing. I think that's going to be the more difficult one to get rid of, right?
Yeah, and it is a minority, but it's a stubborn minority that you can't just
and a
eradicate
vocal.
off.
It'll be a vocal one. It'll be an absolute, and you can bet your ass sort of the vocal community will be up in arms about. And I don't think it's a good thing. I couldn't sit here and say that's good news for everyone if they did stop doing physical, because it wouldn't be. It would be bad news for a proportion.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't impact me. And I
think we keep talking about this cashless society, and as you always say, give me the options, even if I'm not going to use it. I want the options to spend that cash. Same here. I want the option to send Adkins to spend his 70 quid and I'll just profit for nothing. That's what I want to continue.
Yes. But they don't want that. And this is where there's that. This is where the conflict comes in, is that it's like, as a consumer, you want to be able to go, I want to be able to go to you and go, can I borrow that? And you go, yeah.
Yep.
Like, and you benefit, but obviously the company doesn't benefit because they know people are borrowing bloody games. Like, so it's not working for them, is it?
No. I should say, actually, the new version of the PS5 do come with 1 terabyte SSD. At the moment, it's 825. So you're getting a little memory upgrade there, and people have criticised the 825, which leaves you with about 600 and something gig once it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Because of all the tut that's to run it.
Isn't the Xbox smaller than that? I feel like the Xbox is 512.
No, the Xbox, so that was the S. The S is 512. The X is 1 terabyte, which is where all the champagne bottles being popped was at the start of the generation. And then, well, the interesting thing was, it was actually an interesting thing to track, because Sony made a big point about the PS5 having this Kraken compression, which meant the games should be smaller on the PS5, and therefore you don't need as much space. I think on balance, if you did the maths, that you're better off having the Xbox if you're worried about storage, because even though they take up a bit more room, it ain't quite enough to worry about losing 100 odd gig. But this does have 1 terabyte SSD with it, so in our market we've had no stealth price increase, unlike some other markets. There's something to be had there. There's a little Brucey bonus there, but then you've lost the stand, so you're going to be paying 25 UK pounds of that. One word answer.
Why have they done that? Did I miss? Did you say why they've done that?
There's no reason for that. Well, it's adjustable.
So
it looks a bit more premium, but that's all I'm going to say. You can get it now if you wanted, and it would fit your PS5, but it'd also fit the new version. So the only thing I can think of is that they're trying to. I mean, it's bollocks. It's something like this at a base level should be included with the fucking console.
So how are you going to stand it up then?
Well, you don't be standing it up. It goes in its belly unless you buy this thing. So you can put it on its gut. It comes with some fucking clip, but if you want it standing up where it takes up less room, in my opinion, because it's so fucking big, then you need this stand for 25 UK pounds. So, one word answer. Sony, are they crooks of the week?
For that, yes. That's unbelievable. I didn't realise that it didn't come with anything other than just belly option.
Belly option or nothing, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and praise the stand I got with this one. It was diabolical, but it works. It's functional. It doesn't need to be anything else. So why not just include some just locked plastic shitter that fits only the slim model? I mean, I'm looking at the fucking stand, and it's like either side it goes a couple of inches. So if you're talking about trying to make this thing slim, then you're giving it a great big stand that's making it wider at the base.
It actually looks worse, though.
Yeah.
Like, the slim version actually looks worse. The stand does look better.
It looks nice. It's got a bit of silver. I bet that's not real fucking metal or anything.
No.
But it looks, at least aesthetically, looks nice. But a black piece of plastic would have been fine. That just functionally put it up on its fucking standing up option. But nope. Jim says 25.
It looks like it's going to fucking topple over.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
To be honest, this thing... Yeah, take a bit of a push to knock that over, actually. It's pretty standard. The only thing I don't like about the Xbox, whilst we're criticising stands is, yes, you don't need the stand, but it annoys me that when I have it up on its, I have it vertical, that the feet that are existent for when you put it horizontally just poke out the side. So that's just the eyesore of mine that's annoyed me for 3 years. Anyway, enough of Sony. They're crooks of the week officially. Here we go. The big one potentially, but not quite the big one, because this is a fast-moving story. The UK's Competitions and Market Authority, the CMA, has officially approved Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard King. So, we're not going to go diving deep into this, because as we record, it's not officially been closed. The suggestion is it could close in a matter of hours, so we could be just hours out from doing this.
The press.
Hot off the press, and probably by the next episode, I would assume that it's closed and I've got my fucking money off Phil for these shares. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, when that money's in my fucking account, that's when I know it's definitely happened. So it's like that, by the time you're listening to this, it's all done, it's all song and dance, and you've seen the press releases. But we'll probably spend most of the next episode, depending on what happens, just talking about the impacts of that. I did want to read a quote from the CMA, or a few quotes from the CMA here on the closure of this. The new deal will stop Microsoft... This is from the CMA, I should say. The new deal will stop Microsoft from locking up competition in cloud gaming as this market takes off, preserving competition prices and services for the UK cloud gaming customers. It will allow Ubisoft... Because this is all talking about them giving out the rights to Activision games for Ubisoft to have the cloud rights. So this was a restructure of the deal. It's something the CMA asked for, and Microsoft bent over to make the deal happen. It's a small concession, but it was a concession nonetheless. It will allow Ubisoft to offer Activision's content under any business model, including through multi-game subscription services. It will also help ensure that cloud gaming providers will be able to use non-Windows operating systems for Activision content, reducing the costs and increasing efficiency. In somewhat a pointed statement, CMA Chief Executive Sarah Cardell acknowledged that the deal was now free to proceed, but criticised Microsoft in the process. Quote, the CMA is resolute in its determination to prevent mergers that harm competition and deliver bad outcomes for consumers and businesses, Cardell said. We take our decisions free from political influence, and we won't be swayed by corporate lobbying. Sorry, that...
You say you hear things and you go, you've just chucked that in for legal reasons.
We delivered a clear message to Microsoft that the deal would be blocked unless they comprehensively addressed our concerns, and we stuck to our guns on that. Cardell claimed that the CMA should take credit for making Ubisoft the Ubisoft streaming deal happen, and further criticised Microsoft for taking too long to propose the modified deal. With the sale of Activision's cloud streaming rights, Ubisoft, we've made sure Microsoft can't have a stranglehold over this important and rapidly developing market. As cloud gaming grows, the intervention will ensure people get more competitive prices, better services and more choice. We are the only competition agency globally to have delivered this outcome. So they're patting themselves on the back there for that. But businesses and their advisors should be in no doubt that the tactics employed by Microsoft are no way to engage with the CMA. Microsoft had the chance to restructure during our initial investigation, but instead continued to insist on a package of measures that we told them simply would not work, dragging out proceedings in a way that only wastes time and money. So they're not happy with them.
Pissy, I would say.
But from Microsoft's point, you just try what you can get away with, didn't you? You don't up front go, we're going to hand away these streaming rights to the Activision games because it's fucking hassle, and in some way will harm this deal. Very minor, but it'll be an annoyance for us. So look, you try and get away with what you can, I think. And in the end, they said, we want you to do this. They went, all right, we'll do that. Now you happy. They went, yes. So CMA can come out of their teeth baring and say, look, we've made them make this concession. How big or how small it is, I don't really know. I don't think anyone really knows, because we don't know what's going to happen with this cloud market or how it's even going to be implemented by Ubisoft. All I will say is that it wouldn't surprise me if in 3 to 5 years' time Microsoft buy Ubisoft and therefore retain those rights for the cloud streaming of Activision games, and therefore it was all a ruse anyway.
I suspect that's what they've thought.
Any thoughts on those comments? Because they are quite needly. There's clearly some ill thoughts between the two entities at this point. I found it quite funny just to hear them
directly.
It's
amusing because it's very pissy. Like
it
you know, there's some. They're obviously not happy about it, but it's like, what do you expect them to do? They're not just going to go. Like, they want their cake and eat it. That's what companies want to do.
Yeah.
And they were the only regulator that weren't really playing ball with it. They've gone, well, you're the ones that obviously look like dickheads here because no one else has called this shit out. So we ain't going to move the earth for it. And they're just sort of like, oh, like, it should have done. It's just a bit kind of like, I think they've just had their nose put out a little bit. I think Microsoft have gone, well, look how fucking big we are. See how big your bollocks are. We'll make the concessions that you absolutely require us to make, but we're not
more.
But no more, yeah. And it's like, why would you though? Like, if someone said to me, "Go and run around the block once," I ain't gonna do it twice because I don't want to.
Yeah, but there's health benefits to that. You might as well do it.
I don't want them. I didn't want to do the first one. You just made me. So it's probably a poor analogy, but it's one that I thought of off the bat. But anyway, I think it always felt like it was going to get done. I think that's the first point. I don't think it was really something you felt like the CMA could stand behind too much, considering all the other regulators had ticked the box. So
the FTC tried, but they lost in their own in-house court to block it. So they had a go at it, but even their own, the procedure they have said you ain't got leg to stand on. Get out of the way. And
I still feel like the cloud gaming piece is like, I still don't really get why that's the main focus. I mean, obviously I'm missing something, but like that doesn't feel like a huge element of where there might be.
I understand to a certain point is that they don't know how big that will end up being. If Phil's out there saying we can put this on 2 billion devices, that would scare a regulator to give them too much power to do that. I mean, because cloud isn't close to being what it will end up being, and it may never be what Phil or what people have quoted in the past of it taking over and it being the main way people play games. But I can understand whilst you don't have the crystal ball, you try and do something to
err on the side of caution.
Yeah,
like that you don't
know in 10 years' time how important it'll be.
They go, fucking hell, you prats! If you hadn't let that through,
exactly. It's just.
But look, I think ultimately they're doing it. They're trying to do it with the interest of the consumer. In my naive world, right, where you go, what are they there for? They're there to increase competition and make sure we don't get fucking ripped off. Like that's like we get the good element of choice at the right prices. That's what they're there to ensure at a high level, right? So they're doing it for mine and yours benefit, in theory, and in a very high level. So we should be thankful they're raising these things because they're trying to preempt future problems and current problems and this, that and the other, but it always felt like it was going to get through. They've obviously done the bare minimum to get it through, and they've gone, fucking all right, you can have your tick, now go away. And that very much comes out in that communication.
There's a funny on the press release, it headlines on the CMA's website, Microsoft concession, a game change that will promote competition. So they really are beating their chest over this being a win. I know a lot of people don't really understand what the CMA do. They think just because they've been getting in Microsoft way, there's some sort of toot. But they do a lot of things in the UK to stop those greedy bastards, whether it's the energy companies, these supermarkets are being investigated for potentially raising the price of just food and household items and using inflation as an excuse. So they do dozens and dozens of things like this. This just happens to be the one that fell into the gaming sphere, and people are like, oh, what a waste of time. But it is important to have these places there. Should they have poked their nose in? I'd argue anything going for 70 billion in a tech world should be looked at. It's one of the biggest mergers to ever take place. Worth a look would be my. If I'm leading that, have a little look at that, and if you think you can come off in your own sphere as getting a game-changing concession and putting that on the headline, so be it. But you
should never be bent over the barrel. No. That's my view. So anything that risks that, I mean, I've got to pay my fucking water bill, and I don't have any choice over who I pay and how much they charge.
Well, how do you track what you're using there? I don't know what they're up there. They're scandaling. Look at the water meter. Allegedly, yeah, bullshit. I reckon that's the worst one. They can be trusted, but
yeah, I think that, it's a good it's supposed to be a good thing for the consumer, right? And I think that's the key point to raise, is that they're there to protect us and ensure that there's relevant competition to drive price in the market.
But they're just an arm of the Tory government, Chris. How can you let...
Well, they'll be there under Labour, so it's for the leftists as well. They ain't going anywhere.
No, they might root and pull out the people and put new people in. Who knows? Anyway, so look, that's obviously a fast-moving topic. By the time you hear this, there's likely more information. There's actually 3 different articles and documents people can read about the CMA's decisions. So I'm sure people will dissect that about rationale and then come up with their own conclusions about, you know, who bent over and who didn't. It doesn't matter. It's very likely this will be gone through by the next time we convene, and we will talk about the fallout of that, and hopefully have more information about the plans of certain content and some concrete data on what's coming when, potentially, because it's a little bit up in the air when it comes to the Call of Duties of society. Anyway, that'll do for this portion of the podcast. We are going to now transition to Spider-Man Miles Morales. Logan and I doing the groundwork of playing through the old Insomniac Spider-Man games in preparation for Spider-Man 2. Well, I was replaying it in that. Logan was just playing it for the first time. It happened to time quite well. So getting you nice and prepared for Spider-Man 2, which launches on the 20th of October. Nothing more for us to say at this point, though, other than we'll see you on the other side. Here we are then, back with some game impressions. To close out this edition of Idle Game Chat, you got Logan and myself, Apps, to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, the 2020 launch title for PS5. It's also on PS4 as well, I must say that. But this is one of the games that launched on the PlayStation 5. Nice to have some launch games actually on the PlayStation side, because when I bought the Xbox, Phil served me up nothing.
Is that when that PlayStation come out? That is mad.
Yeah, it was. It would have been November 2020.
Madness. Honestly, I say it at work all the time, but that period, 2020 to 20 whatever, is just, I've just wrote it off. It's just like I've just literally just selected all, like you do on a computer. You go select all, Control A, right click, delete. Like that's basically what I've done.
All that time's gone. It's just evaporated. It might as well, nothing might as well have happened. Yeah, because I remember the struggle to get the PS. I ordered it, and there was they shut everything down, and then we had to like go and get it from game, but you couldn't go in the shop. They just had like a table out by the doors, and they just handed it to you, and it's all a bit. Well, it was all a bit strange anyway, but that didn't seem that strange at the time. That seemed perfectly normal doing stuff like that. But yeah, there was concerns that we wouldn't be able to get our hands on it because the stores had been asked to close down about 2 weeks before, and they got a way around it by sort of offering a hole in the wall type service.
Yeah.
But Miles Morales was one of the games I picked up on launch. In fact, I got the Ultimate Edition, which included Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, and that's when I went through that game first time round, which was actually my second time round, and as people would have heard, I've done it a third time round. Miles Morales, this is a third time round on it as well, because done it at launch or shortly after launch, then after ages finally did it in New Game Plus to get that trophy and a few of the trophies that were allocated to that, but left some 100% trophies for what I was going to do a clean run through from the start before Spider-Man 2, which is what I did this time. So I started a new save, but this time cleared it all down to get the final trophies, not realising that one of the trophies still required a New Game Plus save because one of the suits is locked behind that. I just start a New Game Plus and just buy it straight away, and I was like, why didn't I just do that in my New Game Plus save before I deleted it? But you know, you live and you learn, don't you? And obviously for yourself, this is a first playthrough, so
yes,
a real mixed bag of experience. If we look back at what the Seal of Approval awards we gave for the Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, I gave it a bronze, citing some technical issues, which are quite unusual, but I can't be letting them off the hook for that. And you gave it a great gold. So highly thought of, and to be honest, I had previously given it a gold and I think maybe a silver before. So it's up in that higher echelon of game. It certainly has been for many of us here. Whereas Miles Morales is a spin-off, really. It's not quite an expansion because it is a standalone game. Originally retailed at £50 UK rather than the top standard of £70 UK. So, in quotes, budget title being handed around, although 50 quid isn't budget to me. You want to go below that, but that's how it was kind of...
In 2020, though, was that... I can't remember.
I think it was, because I remember Demon's Souls, which was also launch title, being £70 UK as well. I think Sony just went, look, that's what it's like
from day dot.
Yeah. And then obviously Phil went, oh, we'll never do that, and then lo and behold, here we are staring down the barrel of 70 quid games and Game Pass hikes. So, you know, eventually everyone falls in line and copies, you know, what's going to happen on that side. But this is a smaller game. Obvious that, well, not obvious, but that's one thing to clarify from the outset, is definitely less content to be getting on with. But is it as good or better? That's what we're here to find out. I'm going to do something that we stopped doing in recent reviews, and I'm blaming you for this.
Yeah.
It's just to read the store page, give the background.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we did this sometimes, yeah.
To be honest, I could have made you do it, but I was like, I'll see if he remembers, and he didn't. So
Nah, that ain't going to happen, is it?
So here's what we got in the PlayStation Store for Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. In the latest adventure in the Spider-Man in the Marvel's Spider-Man universe, that's how they're referring to it. That's Insomniac and PlayStation's little universe, Marvel's Spider-Man universe. Teenager Miles Morales is adjusting to his new home while following in the footsteps of his mentor, Peter Parker, as a new Spider-Man. But when a fierce power struggle threatens to destroy his new home, the aspiring hero realizes that with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Classic line.
To save all of Marvel's New York. To save all of Marvel's New York, whatever, Miles must take up the mantle of Spider-Man and own it. That's all we get. So it doesn't really give away the game as to what's occurring there. Just broadly suggests a power struggle that's going to cause problems, and often that's the case in these type of games. But obviously we're coming hot off the heels of the original Spider-Man, so we've got a good reference point and a game that in many ways is the same, but in other ways is different. It does tread that line, I think, very well. I mean, obviously the big change is the obvious one, the fact that Peter Parker's fucked off in this story, gone to freelance with MJ somewhere else, and we take the role of Miles Morales rather than Peter Parker. So in Spider-Man, the original, we're 7-8 years into his career, so well established. Miles, we're sort of less than a year into him becoming and getting his powers and being awoken to his powers, and Peter kind of taking him under his wing and training him. From what I gathered, we're kind of at the end of the training period, and he's starting to take him on missions, and you know, and then eventually Peter says, "Look, I'm going away for a while. It's down to you." So clearly that particular induction period is finished. But now it's all said and done, how did you get on with being Miles? Because it's a different character. It's one for me personally, because I grew up with the cartoons, which I think were on Fox Cartoons or something, not on Cartoon Network, and not once was Miles Morales a thing. In fact, I didn't know who he was really until the first game come around and people going, "Oh, that's Miles." I was like, "Who the fuck's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's the other Spider-Man." I was like, "There's two Spider," because I'd obviously fallen off the bandwagon completely. So I had no idea who he was. But for you, trading in Peter for Miles, upgrade or downgrade?
I don't know. I mean, I think I referenced in our other review on Spider-Man is that I liked the fact that it went straight into it, and you're this. Like, the best thing about being Spider-Man is just being this powerful superhero, right? And you've obviously, you know, being Miles, you're a 17-year-old, struggler, struggling with personal stuff, school, and various other different things. You kind of like still feel like he's a little bit vulnerable. So when you first sort of pick it up, you're sort of like, I don't really know how much, like, how powerful I am, if that makes sense. And neither does he, though. So you're kind of
No.
going on that journey together, right?
Yeah.
And he's still figuring out what his powers are and stuff. But I overall really enjoyed Miles' character and the way that they're portraying him. He's obviously got some vulnerability about him that I like, and Genki, I think, is a good little replacement for MJ. And you've kind of got this. Like I liked the fact, actually, weirdly, conversely from what I said before, I liked the vulnerability and going through this journey where you start off a little bit vulnerable, but it feels like you soon pick up pace and power. I think it does that well, where it's kind of like a little bit vulnerable. You do a few training bits, and you're quickly getting up to speed with it all. And I really enjoyed playing through the story in this. I actually think it's a really, really compelling story. And I don't really want to go into it with spoilers, but I don't know. You know, you think like the whole story in Spider-Man with Doc Ock and like it's always the one closest to you sort of thing. I was a bit like, I mean, it's really powerful in this story. Like I like it, but I kind of just want to be a bit disassociated from that boss. I think that's the one thing that I'm looking for, but I kind of expect that I'm not going to get that in the next one. It's just the way Spider-Man appears to be. But yeah,
making friends with all these arseholes. Not a very good judge of character, is he?
Concerning.
Ben didn't teach him that before he fell down the stairs or whatever happened to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing as Miles. You know, I think the way that they build out his character and stuff from Spider-Man and into this kind of standalone game, you kind of get to know him and what he's about and everything. And I like it. Yeah. I don't know. Like you, the only time or the first time I was introduced to Miles itself was in that Netflix film, Into the Spider-Verse.
What, one of the animated
I think it's
ones?
Yeah. So that was the first time I'd kind of come across Miles Morales and that character and the whole sort of this other universe of other Spider-Men and women and stuff. And I was a bit like, this is all a bit strange.
Yeah.
But I do quite like this dual Spider-Man. It's a little bit strange for me. Like it doesn't sit well with everything that I've known. But I think it's quite a good development for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think definitely in replaying it, one of the strengths is how well they delivered on Miles, because that could have absolutely just undone the whole game quite easily. If Miles wasn't likable, if Miles wasn't relatable, if you didn't understand who he was and get on board with him quite quickly, then it's in trouble, isn't it? Because a lot of people would have become accustomed to Peter Parker. Not that we're particularly old in the grand scheme of things, but those that grew up in our time period would have, as we said, mostly only known of Peter Parker. Yeah. So introducing a new character, you sort of immediately got your back up. Who is this? What's he all about? And I will say the only thing that annoys about Miles, he's way too polite. Like he's too helpful. Like in the opening bit, he's helping people put their sofas up on moving. Like, no one's doing that. I don't care how polite you are.
He's an all-round good guy. Yeah.
He's a bit too much of a squeak. I want to see in the second one some real fire from him, but I suspect we won't get that. And it'll be Peter's the one who starts being a degenerate mentor turning.
I don't know if it needs to be degenerate, but it's kind of like you want to see this kind of. At 17, you're kind of like flitting between. I wouldn't say flitting between characters, but I think you're still figuring out who you are. Like, and you're definitely at 17, not being this all-round good guy sort of thing.
Not being Phil Spencer, are you, friend of the show at that point? You haven't got the experience to land that.
But I think what they're trying to do is kind of like show that he's this generically just always wants to help people sort of thing. And I was sort of a bit like, it was a bit cheesy for him to do that and sort of like. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's a bit of an unnecessary way to introduce him in the open.
Strutting through the neighbourhood, saying hello to everyone. I'm like, people aren't that forthcoming, and that especially in New York. I'm not having it.
No.
I ain't, maybe Harlem's different, but I ain't having that. I reckon you get sworn at if you start trying to chat with people and smiling and nodding and all that stuff. But it's a video, it's trying to set the beat, isn't it, and show early on that he's a good fella. And it does have its own vibe, and I think most of that is down to Miles and the people you interact with. It does feel different from the parent game, which you wouldn't expect because it shares so many similarities in terms of just the basic controls, the movement. Miles perhaps feels a little bit different, feels a bit more agile, a bit more wiry, perhaps, particularly when you're doing the tricks. They're much more fluid and
he's
fun.
more loose, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sort of, he's more what's the word? Like flamboyant with how he does the web
Whereas
slinging
Hodgson
and
say he's
stuff.
tricky. He's trying to be tricky.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, it's like it does go to show, and it's little things like that though that I think builds out the character. It's kind of like Peter Parker, mid-20s or whatever. He's just like, I'm out here to get shit done. Whereas 17-year-old Miles is sort of still just sort of like it's all new to him. He's like floating around a little bit, like doing tricks and fannying around. Like a lot of the times he'll do just like random 360s in the air, like and things like that. And you're like, I think it's pretty good in just setting the difference between the two characters just beyond the skin. Like,
even when you do things like a stealth takedown, he's a bit more off balance when he pulls them up. Like he hasn't quite got his foot in, and he's a bit more, a bit scruffier. He still gets the job done, but like you said, using the animations to kind of define a difference between the two. And I also think what really helps, which is a really small thing, but actually I think has a major impact, is the fact that it's snowing. Because it completely changes the aesthetic of the city. We've been swinging round Manhattan for 30 plus hours, and then you come into this. And although it's the same architecture, it does just feel different simply because it's snowing. The lakes.
Yeah, it's a nice little change.
The lakes in Central Park are frozen over, so you don't have to worry about plopping into them like you probably did all throughout the main game. Fucking the slowest swimmer of all time in Peter Park. I mean, Miles ain't much better if you fall into that fucking river, but
I know.
The slowness of them is an annoyance. But I think those things are important because it could have just been, here's a rerun. Here's 50 quid's worth of half the game, half the content, and it's a rerun. But I think they do more than enough to make it feel like its own thing. And I was actually struck about the visual upgrade. It was actually quite significant. When I looked at it, when I first put it on, I was like, this looks much better than what I've just been playing in the remastered version. And again, it might have been to do with the tone, i.e. the snow, and it just, perhaps my eyes were just thinking, that just looks prettier. But I think in general there was a significant boost having this go to PS5 and PS4 from the get-go rather than a PS4 game being remastered up.
I don't think it was like miles better.
Get that soundboard up for the Discord. How'd you do it? Can you do it off this iPad?
No, little sound effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it definitely did. It looks better to me. I still think it run pretty much the same. Obviously, as you say, it's the same like environment, just with a different weather effect. But yeah, I thought it run and looked really good. And I really enjoyed. I don't know if I'd say I'd enjoyed them more, but I did enjoy Miles's gadgets, and his powers. I think are more interesting. Like he's got a wider range of powers than Peter Parker has, and I think that in itself is interesting.
You got the Venom power, which is obviously a play on words, I would assume, because of the Venom character lurking somewhere in this universe. As you'd imagine, but it's basically electric, isn't it? It's electrical charge. Bioelectricity you can stun people with, and then if you hit them whilst they're stunned with the bioelectricity, they take more damage, and there's all sorts of different ways you can use it. So the focus bar is gone and replaced with a venom bar, which is basically the electricity charge, and you can unleash that to do finishes or powers. One of the things that immediately caught me out though and wrong-footed me for the third time, because I said I've been for it 3 times, was that the finishes are combo based rather than just the focus bar or the venom bar. And dodging adds to the combo though, which I'm not sure it did in the base game. I think you had to pummel them. Dodging around would not add an extra tick
I
to
don't
it.
remember.
And I must say that I found that somewhat difficult to manage even throughout the game, because I was so used to just building up that bar and then just unleashing back-to-back finishes.
Yeah.
Because you can bank 2 of them. Whereas this one, it was like you could bank up to 2 if you got to the combo. And I found myself getting hit a lot more with Miles. I don't know if that was intentional or if I just was poorer or the enemy types are less forgiving. But very rarely was I getting to 2 banked finishes to take down a brute, for example. I'd have to electrocute the bastard. But I do think the venom powers and the camouflage give you such a leg up that actually you're less inclined to sort of fall back to the finishes, because you can just unleash some absolute devastation with that venom. And if you want to really thin the herd, you've got a get out clause in that camouflage to just get away from the situation and hide.
I must admit, I thought I was being poor, but I did after a while. I think I can't remember if there's a specific type of enemy, but I always got caught out by the ones with shields.
Yep.
And because I was like, my one complaint with the gameplay is it takes so long to take like guns and shields off of an enemy that you basically have to ignore them, deal with everything else, and then go back for them.
Well, you get shot when you're trying to fucking get it out of their hands.
Yeah,
or
so
kicked up the arse.
You have to tactically go about it a little bit, and that does annoy me. Like, I think it should be for hold triangle, like just instantly just whip it out his hand. I don't want to whip it around my head and do that. Like, I just want it gone. But I did sometimes. I got a bit better as the game went on at sort of understanding how much time I've got and stuff. But it's easy to get caught out because I think in Spider-Man, a lot of them sit there finger up arse for a significant period of time.
Yeah.
You don't find yourself doing a lot at once, whereas in this, they all sort of seem to want a piece of the action at the same time. So sometimes I just found myself just mashing dodge just to
keep yourself
recover,
out of trouble. Yeah,
keep myself out of trouble. But the one thing I did like about the finisher metric is that often I'd find myself just instinctively doing the finisher in Spider-Man and then not having enough focus to heal. And the one thing I like about this being combo based is that I can still heal and do the combo if I need to.
Yeah.
The finisher, sorry, because it's as you said, it was combo based. But that was the one thing that did annoy me in Spider-Man is because it comes up with a prompt and my gamer instinct just wants me to do it. Like I can't not, and then I'd go fucking hell. I didn't want to do that. I didn't need to finish him. He was one hit from being dead anyway, and now I've used up my focus.
Fluffed it.
So that it didn't bother me, but it gave me a bit more license to actually get people out of the way. Yeah. Rather than be worried about using it for healing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It does remove that conflict, doesn't it? And let you keep them. I mean, if you lose the combo, it still holds it for, I think, indefinitely until you fall out of combat. So it's not like you've got to rush to use it whilst you're on a high. I did want to touch upon the camouflage because only for your sakes, I know you're not a stealth. In fact, you're anti-stealth in all video games, and obviously the camouflage offers you or encourages you, I should say, to delve into that particular way of playing. Did this annoy you just because of the fact it was there?
So I have to be honest. Like I actually think the way you can sort of clamber about up top and it sort of tells you whether the enemy's safe to take down or
wall takedowns, ceiling takedowns.
Yeah, that was a bit sort of like. Basically, the perch ones are my go-to. Like, if I could do a perch takedown, I'll always take that option. But I was a bit annoyed by the camouflage. Like, I feel like on some of the camouflage, I should be able to be camouflaged, go up to someone that's not safe, quote unquote, to take down, and just sort of do something that takes them down quietly, and then I can sort of zip back up again. I struggled to really find a beneficial use for the camouflage. Like, I basically never used it.
I'll tell you what I used it for, and it was a complete passive usage. There's a visor ability it's split into two. I can't remember what they're called now. You've got a visor and maybe a suit mod. I can't remember what way around it is. Whatever it is, you've got two mods, or four mods, I guess you can apply at any one time, and they're split into two categories. One of them was, it will automatically enable camouflage if you get caught out. And I thought I'll put that on. If I make a hash of it, which I'm not lying, it would say safe. So I did it, and then it would activate the camouflage. And I was like, right. So if I hadn't got that on, I'd have been sitting here royally fucked off. Or was the camouflage just trigger happy that time? I don't know. Maybe he needs to go back to Genki and get that fucking diagnostics running.
See, I suss this out. So sometimes it says they're safe. I'd do it, but they'd sort of get the little exclamation mark.
As
You wouldn't, but it would. Yeah, but it wouldn't alert them. It just sort of they'd just be a bit like, oh,
Right.
like, so you know when it goes yellow.
Yeah.
So I noticed that because I did exactly the same thing. I was like, it'll get me out of trouble because I'd noticed a few times I was getting a bit sloppy with it. So I did that, but I started to realise that sometimes I'd do it and they would just notice like it wouldn't go the red exclamation mark and it'd get everyone on board on you. It'd just go to yellow. So I was like, well, this is a waste of time because I wouldn't have been caught anyway. So I did toy with that, but I just found it. I don't know. I just found it a bit pointless. Like, there's one specific training. I think it might be like stealth one number 3, one of the training things you do, and it's quite tricky. Like, I failed it a couple of times trying to do it. I don't know if you did that. You must have done it where they're like under the bridge. Yeah, and so that one I was
to like get.
Yeah, the hostages, and I was sort of trying to figure out the best way. I was sort of like, I should be able to just camouflage and go and kill one that's by the hostage, and it was just like no. And I was like, well, what is the point in this if I can't sort of get in there, kill someone, and get out like silently?
The time it was useful was on one of those stealth challenges where you had to disarm a bomb, and you can disarm the bomb without being seen. So that's when I used it most. Was I would distract them away, knowing that I probably wouldn't have enough time to get down there like in full gear and disarm it, but I'd activate camouflage, get down there. They're walking back to see. In most cases, they would have seen me, but I was camouflaged, could disarm the bomb and get out there before it came back on. And also, if you do get in a pickle, using it just to get away from the action and going up high and hiding was a viable strategy. But that meant being a coward, so...
I think just overall it was just kind of a bit... Like, because there's a whole arc for... like skill, there's like a skill tree for it, and I was like, it's not a significant. Well, it was the last thing I upgraded because I was like, there's not enough in my view. I mean, maybe if you ramp the game up in terms of difficulty, it might be a much more viable way of dealing with them. But I was like, I just don't understand at this difficulty that I'm doing it. Like, I can basically take on anyone and win that battle anyway. Like, the good thing about the bioelectricity and the venom power and stuff is that you can just deal with so many enemies at once. Like, it really does let you do that. So I was a bit, you know, when you're sort of playing something, you're like, it's really encouraging me to do something with this, but it doesn't really tell me the best way to use it. And I was like, I was just a bit sort of like non-fussed by it. It just didn't add a huge amount to my gameplay, I don't think. But maybe that's my style, as you said before.
All guns are blazing or nothing.
Well, part of the good thing about being a bloody Spider-Man is you do that. Like, we're not playing Metal Gear Solid. Like, we're playing Spider-Man. So why would you want to go around camouflaged and silently taking people down? Like, it doesn't really lend very well, in my view, to the overall way that Spider-Man should, quote unquote, be portrayed. So I was a bit sort of like, the character and the power and its utilization in the game didn't really all sort of marry up too well. I mean, I'm not bothered by it. It doesn't really affect me, but I was a bit like,
useless. Don't get camouflage. That's what we're saying here. What did you think about some of the power, or some of the powers and the abilities that you get this time being unlocked by doing challenges rather than just leveling up your character? There's like, I think there's 9 that you unlock as you do these little sort of AR challenges that Pete's left behind to help with your training, basically. I thought that was a nice, a bit more of an interesting way of getting specific types of abilities rather than just leveling up and assigning it as and when I decide to get it. Like, there was They're kind of split into their 3 different trees of like stealth, combat. I can't remember what the other one was. Maybe it's gadgets or something. And then you'd unlock either a buff of an existing power or perhaps a brand new sort of ability altogether.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked the fact that I could go off.
There's a reason to do them rather than just collect tokens.
Yeah. So I pretty much went off the bat, and it's like, well, I might as well just do this now.
Yeah.
Like, and just ticked them all off and got them done
Get a leg
straight
up.
away. Because well, then I can play the whole game with basically all my powers. I mean, obviously, as you level up, you get extra melee power. Is that the right word? And extra life and health and stuff. So you do level up. But I thought, like, little quality of life things that I liked, having played Spider-Man so recently, was being able to like recover, do quick recoveries and launch off stuff and all that kind of stuff, which I kind of just use in my getting around and how I'm taking people down and stuff. I was like, I can have all of that off the bat. I don't have to go around and wait for it until it's too late. So I must admit, I liked how the game was structured. Like, I preferred the fact that if I wanted to do these ad hoc crimes, I could get I could get an activity token and use it, or I could just go off and do side missions and main missions and get them that way, and then use them how I want.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 currencies, isn't there? There's like tech token and activity tokens, whereas the last one had base tokens, it had challenge tokens, it had crime tokens. And combinations of upgrades were locked behind 3 or 4 different currencies. Whereas this has just got 2 flat ones, and you'll get more tokens than you need to unlock everything as well. It's not asking you to do absolutely everything. And what helps, I think, if you are looking to clear down crimes in particular, is that app that you can use. You can access the side quests. You can access I guess they are side quests. The other sort of like activities that are in and around Harlem and across Manhattan, and you can just trigger a crime. Say, for example, you wanted to get, all the challenges, all the optional challenges done on all the crimes. You could easily just trigger the one that you've missed a couple on and go out and do it. So that's something that undoubtedly, well, I've seen it. It will get carried forward because it's so much easier to interface with the world rather than the world telling you what to do. One thing I request is that at some point I want to be able to turn off patrol mode where I'm getting disturbed randomly. So let Miles handle that, and if I'm playing as Peter, I don't want to be distracted by them saying, "Oh, someone's getting mugged." Well, I'm just trying to do other turts. So I hope there's an option just sort of to turn off that part of the app. But I suspect you'll be forced, because they'll be like, well, that's the life of a hero, isn't it? Constantly spinning plates. I'm like, yeah, but there's no disadvantage to leaving these fucks, because there ain't, is there? They just disappear after a while. There's no punishment for just hanging people out to dry.
You don't like the guilt. You don't like the fact that you have to go, sorry,
No.
I'm swinging by. Go, see you later.
Because I go to every crime. That's why it costs me time.
Oh, you do.
Most of them. There was a couple of times when I didn't, because one time on the way there it disappeared, and I was like, "Well, police must have got there before me." But
if it's far enough away, if it's on the way, I'll do it.
That's what I should have
done.
done.
If I have to go out of my way, I'm just like, no, not doing it. So I've got a system that I've allowed that means if it's like less than 100 meters, or if it's on the way, I'll do it.
If it's en route, I'll do it. If not, soldier.
You got to draw the line somewhere. I can't help everyone all the time.
Well, that'll be my headcanon for Spider-Man 2, is that the other Spider-Man's doing it. Because obviously you can only control one at a time, so I'll be like, oh, Peter's picking that one up. Hopefully. Yeah. But no, the app is useful because it lets you replay stuff. It lets you just access the crimes you need. Yeah. Ironically, you don't really need to clear down all the crimes in this one, I don't think, for a district 100%. So the first game really could have done with this, because you're forever roaring around those districts waiting for them to trigger, whereas just being able to trigger them would have been handy. But at least they sussed it out this time around and went, right, maybe that'll be ported forward. I didn't notice any time of day inconsistencies. So I didn't go into a side quest and it suddenly just was the black and night, and I was like, what's happened here? It was daytime. Then when I exited it, that it would be daytime again. So that was a tick in the box. The minus in the box was that these suits, just for, I don't know, a side mission, all right? For the whole thing, I was wearing a new suit, okay? And it was a new suit that was given to me as a reward for finishing a quest line. So it weren't just an off the path shitter. It was like in the world.
Yeah.
I got this suit from doing it, and I was like, okay, that at least that feels like a real one. Anyway, I'll do this side mission. It takes about 20 minutes. I'm in the suit the whole way through. At the very end, I'm just like saying thanks, Spider-Man. It's put me back in the classic suit.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I noticed this, didn't I?
I had to restart
you in that other suit.
Yeah. I'd go back, put the classic suit on, and finish the side quest again.
It forced me to basically do the whole game if I'm doing missions in the classic suit, because I liked a couple of the other ones that were pretty cool. And I think I've said to you before about mine. I like to do a mission in a suit when I unlock it, if it's not completely ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed it did that to me. I say you do the whole mission in a suit, and then the cutscenes fixed to classic, and I'm like, that's sloppy.
It is sloppy. Come on. Don't do that to me, because I'm not going to use them. Yes,
I don't know why, though. I don't know why, because they'd sussed it in Spider-Man, so I don't know why in Miles Morales they've not got this coded. But I don't think it was on all of them. It was only on some.
That's the inconsistency.
Maybe one or two. Yeah.
If it was just all the time, it'd be fine, but it's not. But like you said, in the end, I was like, well, if I'm doing just random crimes, that's the sort of new suit I've just unlocked. But anything involving talking to a human and it being anything close to a quest, I have to go back to the classics, which wasn't too bad. It's actually quite a nice little arc, isn't it? Where you get to work towards getting that suit, and you finally kind of get it and unlock it. It feels like, oh, Miles has kind of arrived now. Yeah. Because you start off in this weird like hodgepodge of stuff, and then Peter gives you this shit out.
Even that shit suit that Peter gives him, I was like, oh, we're going to get the black suit. And it was like, no. And I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as I'm pretty sure that what happened when I played it was that when I unlocked that, I noticed that the classic spider suit was already there. So I just went and put it on, because I was like, I hate this suit so much. I can't.
Oh, you know what that would have been? That would have been the advanced suit. There's which looks frighteningly the same to the classic suit. I think there is some differences, but I noticed that as well, that it was unlocked. And I was like, is that the suit that you get? Like, it's not far into the game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And I was like, okay, it must be some weird bonus or just insta unlock, which again, Ronnie's not going to accept in headcanon, because Miles ain't earned it, so that got hung out to dry, that one. It does give you, and it's another Ronnieism, I felt like it gave me some opportunities to clear down some turt occasionally. It's not a very long game, actually. If you just did the main story beats, 4 hours, maybe longer, maybe 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It feels like it's like less than 10 missions in total. And
it's probably not, and they're not all super combat-y either.
No.
So yeah, I think maybe 5 hours, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean,
5 or 6 hours tops.
If you mainlined it, but I think you're doing the game doing yourself a disservice doing that. But I know there's people out there that want to do that. But I felt like it wasn't as urgent, other than a couple of times. You know, I'm fine with that. If there's certain scenarios where it feels like, right, move, don't be fanning around, fucking finding mixtapes. I'm like, yeah, of course not. This seems quite important to get this bit done. Another little game that I introduced myself was, after you finished like a random crime, it brings up like the little app interface. It just goes a little music, gives you like your XP breakdown. But Miles goes to slow motion. So my aim was, as soon as the crime finished, was to try and get him to do a trick or to flip off something, so that when the slowdown happened, it was like slowly.
Slow-mo.
Yeah, it was harder than you think to try and time that, because I'd always get it wrong. But I've got some drawbacks to quickly mention.
Yeah.
Button prompts, and when I mean button prompts, I mean when you try and interact with a computer or something in the world. I don't know what happened here.
I thought that was me.
No, they're fiddly as fuck, aren't they?
Yeah.
You're on top of it and it's not coming up. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I found that in Spider-Man sometimes.
It was similar, yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I liked the the sort of the collectible stuff in general, but those sound samples, I've never known a poorer collectathon side, whatever you want to call it, in all my life. That really is a sack of shit.
Some of them were fucking hard to figure out what.
Well, because they were asking you to do things that would never part of any sort of training. You just sort of had to, it was like fucking playing Zelda suddenly. You have to figure it out yourself. Luckily, it fucking tells you if you take too long, because it happened a couple of times to me.
Yeah. Like as I went through, because as I do, as I've explained already, I tend to go, right, I'm getting all of them.
Yeah.
And then I'll fly around and get them all. And I think there was one of them where I was like perched on top, and he was like, go on the subway. Or he was giving me a clue to go on the subway. And I was like, there ain't a fucking entrance to a subway in the area that you've permitted me.
Right.
Honestly, I was getting so fucked off. I was like, why am I doing this as a collectible? Like, I should basically have it. I should just be able to go there and it's there. I shouldn't have to do all this work. It was really bothering me.
I don't mind it if the whole game's like that. If the game itself is built around those types of interactions, then fine. But this ain't that game. Like, Zelda is that game, so immediately you sort of play it and you're like, oh, this is, it's puzzle solving at a higher level. Yeah. This is not what Spider-Man's all about. So I won't have. Look, that's more me getting grumpy because I got stumped. And really,
no, I did. But
that's why we're annoyed about it, because we got caught out and we didn't like being made to feel stupid. That's the only reason.
Because it's like, oh, it'll be really obvious, and you go there thinking it'll be really obvious, and then sometimes it just weirdly isn't. So I ended up just sort of scanning everything until I lucked out. Like, I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this. It's ridiculous. I mean, luckily there's only a few of them. Like, it's not hugely onerous.
It's not like
just
50 fucking photos that we had in Spider-Man. It's like 10 or 12.
Can I just say, I was glad that there was a limited number of it, because Spider-Man, I did it as I went, so it was okay. But like, there was even 20 like secret photos. There's like 70 photos or something that you need to take. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. Whereas they didn't have any of that, so I was quite pleased to see all that took on. A little bit
of restraint always goes a long way.
I sent you a message earlier. You said, how long did it take? And I sent you a picture, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, there is an achievement in this game for visiting your dad's grave.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, that'll be clearly marked out. I had no problem finding Uncle Ben's. Fuck me, did I have some trouble. I was scouring this graveyard for fucking ages.
Was you using the scanner? You click R3.
Yeah.
Oh, because it shows it yellow highlight. It did on mine anyway. So I found it by luck, but it was early on. But I saw because it was marked yellow on my screen.
No, there was no way of identifying it.
It's a big old graveyard as well, so there's a lot
flying around. In the end, I had to take it by sections, and because I was like, there'll be flowers, there'll be something on it.
Why didn't you just look it up?
Because I was like, no. I'm going to do this, but I had to scale the whole graveyard section by section. I'd sort of like tick it off in my head to go, right, done that bit. Eventually I found it, but good Lord, they made that hard work for me.
Well, I've got a trophy attached to it. Can't be easy.
Might be user error, but I still struggled with that.
You mentioned the story earlier. I think
yes,
on the whole, agree, but I liked the personal side of the story. Like the people that you interact with, but how that manifests into enemies and villains, not so much. The underground. What's the fucking other firm called? Roblox. Roxxon. Like tutters, and then the antagonists of them, like Roxxon, just a caricature of just like. Okay, not very interesting at all. I just didn't find the villain or the super villains, or the lack of, I should say, to be particularly interesting. But I did find
Rhino out again. Stop it!
Yeah, I don't know why he's getting the limelight out again. He's loving life, getting a resurgence. But that was my criticism, I think, of it, is that I found them just not that compelling, especially considering what we got in the original. And I'm not expecting there to be fucking half a dozen of them roaring round, but even though, I just didn't. It didn't
I
quite
didn't
fit
really
with me.
understand Roxxon. I was like, I know why they're there.
Where's
but...
this? Also, where's this come from? Like, I felt like it made me criticise the original game for not dropping more breadcrumbs for this. Because as far as I remember, I don't remember them being mentioned at all.
No,
they've just rocked up in the last 6 months, booted up these fucking clean power reactors, and are starting to cause problems. And I'm like, well, you knew where you were going, so why not give some level of setup? Just a little JJJ podcast. Maybe there was. Maybe we missed it. But
no, I mean,
it all felt a bit out of the blue, and I was a bit like, right, I know time's moved on, but I don't think it's moved on that much. But
yeah, why? Yeah, I found the Roxxon thing a bit. Like, I kind of get where you're going with it, because you say it's sort of the lack of groundwork that this has just cropped up whilst Pete's out of town, like, and it wasn't a. Like, do you know what I mean? Though it's a bit like
weren't being tracked or bothered about a week ago.
Yeah,
like, clearly something sinister going on when that thing's going to have been erected over the last 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
No one's batting an eyelid.
But even the underground, like,
yeah.
They just nicked all of. They basically. I don't know if you noticed, but they basically just justified it because they moved into Fisk Tower and just stole all his money. I was like,
yeah. This is the thing. We had a DLC pack, 3 lots of DLC for the original. I'm surprised there was none of this in there to just string it along. Like, it almost felt like they said, right, now what do we do? And someone went,
yeah.
They shrugged their shoulders at it and come up with this.
They needed something to introduce Miles, but I feel like you could have introduced Miles in the other story arcs, or just binned off the last one. Like, I found it a bit strange. I sort of, my brain just went, all right, like, fine. Like, if this is what we're doing, there's no mob, there's no Fisk, there's no any of this, like. But it just felt like reskinned mob, or it reskinned demons and stuff. Like, that's basically what it was. Yeah. But I agree, it was a bit. I did like the way that they built out the characters and the enemy and stuff. But I agree, like, the overall grunts.
Yeah.
Like,
not much going on, but you can't win them all. It's never going to be up there with The Last of Us or God of War or something like that. Even though it possibly could one day. I mean, I'd argue the Spider-Man remaster was better than what it needed to be in that department. Kind of overachieved with certain things, but this one probably wasn't, I don't think, quite as strong. But then I said on the personal side, it was probably better in a way. The people closest are in and around Miles. I was like, this is actually...
Yeah.
And having, you mentioned Genki at the beginning, like just having him as a sidekick throughout, it's just a nice thing to have, rather than MJ and Peter always bickering about fucking something that they've miscommunicated about. This was just like
wholesome.
Yeah,
like their relationship's very wholesome, if a bit cheesy. But I did like I like the way they've built all of that out. I think they've clearly, the focus was clearly for me on building out Miles' character and the characters of those around him, and the enemies and the story was kind of there to facilitate that. Yeah. Whereas in some games it's the other way round, where like that overarching story is the important bit, and throughout that, like a bit like with Peter Parker, like you already know Peter Parker, so the focus is on the story. Whereas I felt like this was very focused on building out Miles, his mum, Genki, obviously. I've forgotten her bloody name now. Finn, like just building out these characters, I think was what they were trying to do, and it lays the groundwork to understand perhaps why Miles is a certain way, or gives some backstory to whatever might come in the future. And that's no spoiler. I'm not leading breadcrumbs. I've no idea what's coming next, but it might be important for them to do that.
Yeah, we'll see how it all pans out, I guess, once the sequel arrives. Anything you wanted to touch upon? Any major or minor things that we haven't spoke about?
No, I mean, it's very much you pick it up. It's, we've both played it immediately after playing through Spider-Man and all the DLC, and I guess the biggest compliment was that I wanted to. Like, I still wanted to play through it. Like I said to you, I'm gonna give it a couple of weeks or whatever, but within a few days I was done, and I was like, I actually wanted to play it, and I really enjoyed the gameplay and the story, and I thought it was a really fun game to play. Yeah. So there's a couple of minor grumbles I think that both you and I have had that we want sorted for next time, but overall, yeah, I thought it was a really, really enjoyable experience. The one thing that I wanted to say was the Danica cast, or whatever it's called.
I've got a note here. Ask Logan about Danicast.
Yeah.
Surely you hated that.
I was a bit like,
Bye.
where's JJ gone? Yeah, I was just,
He's still there lurking.
I know, but he made a point. He was like, "Oh, does Peter just listen to this?" Like, basically, once he narcissistic, or like, he said something about him, and I was like,
"Why does he subscribe to this?" Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, because it's J. Jonas Jameson. Like, it's you got to listen to him. He is like a key part of Spider-Man, and he's still there. But yeah, I was a bit. I used to enjoy listening to the JJJ stuff, but the Danicast I was a bit like, and then all of a sudden you start doing a few things for like and collaborate, and I was a bit like,
who are you?
Yeah,
yeah.
I was a bit kind of like, who are you?
It might be because it's one of these new characters that's been around in the newer universes that we just aren't aware of. But yeah, I mean, I suppose it stops because I found Triple J insufferable in this one. They felt like his ones were too long. And I was like, oh, shut up, mate. He's getting on my nerves a little bit. And I don't know if that was the point.
A bit self-indulgent of JJ.
Which felt fine in the original, but for some reason, this one, I felt like they might have just turned him up just a bit too far. Like, he was on like an 8 before, and they just put him up to a 9 or a 10. That was sort of my tipping point. And regardless of what Miles says, you can unsubscribe from. Oh, actually, you can unsubscribe from it in the menu. I didn't, obviously, because I might have missed a bit of lore, because that can't happen, can it? The amount of those that got cut off, but yeah, that is. I suppose it's to stop just getting bombarded with that fucking moron. But
I do. I still enjoy his little like rants, I guess you can call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't find her as charismatic. Well, no. I mean, it's just the material. It's just a bit sort of like nice. Again, it sort of just fits into that nice thing, doesn't it? Where, Spider-Man's so good. Like, the idea of being a hero is that not everyone is going to see you that way. Well, I know. It's like, can we just get out of Miles' arse?
He's our Spider-Man. Oh, come on.
It was his fault that Rhino got out, and he gets away with it.
That's what
spoilers.
That's what JJJ said. That is fortunately the first mission of the game.
Yeah, it's not key to the plot, really.
In fact, I think they showed that off at one of their opening demos, but no, I forgot about that, and I did have a note for it. I have to mention, actually, I did have some technical grumbles again. Only twice, though, throughout... What did I play this for? Maybe 12 hours? Because I did 100%. I think it's what they call a soft lock. So I went to do one of the Venom powers. Like, when it unlocked a new one, was like, try it out, and it froze.
Yes.
Like, oh, you had this. Miles froze, and
I forgot about this.
All the sound was going off. No one was moving, but the music was going dun 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 dun. And he was talking like going, "Whoa, look at this power!" Like, nothing's moving, mate. I thought it was part of the effect, and it'd all just kick off. But I sat there for 40 seconds. Like, hang on, this ain't working. I couldn't get out of it. So that happened once, and then. Right at the end again, I don't know what it is at these games, but I'm just trying to get over the line. I think this is part of the way I play it. Like, I'm forever like, I'm so fast because I know how to do things. Like, with my eyes closed, I'm in the menu, then I'm going to the pause, I'm putting a map marker. I've just finished the crime, then I'm doing my little flippy thing, then and I did it. I went to the map one time as something had just triggered over, like a collectible I just got, and I got stuck in the map and couldn't get out of it. So I had to restart the game. And again, it just auto-saved because I just finished gathering a collectible. But I only had 2 examples this time, rather than like when the game wouldn't function for an hour of the game. But it sounds like you had the same sort of soft lock issue when you went to trigger a power.
About that.
I bet your bollocks is in the same place. I reckon that's a known or a semi-common thing. But I thought I'd best mention it. But not nowhere near as egregious as what I had in remaster, that's for sure. So Miles tending to be let off the hook there, but not 100% clean. Which again, I'm not. Usually these Sony games are pretty much buttoned up, but that's a couple in a row here, both from Insomniac. I'm like, being overcritical, sure, but just keep an eye on it. I don't want the second one coming out and going through that task, because like I said with the first one, this ain't getting any more patches. They've done it.
Yeah,
They've got feet up on it, so it should be all buttoned up, but
yeah.
I can still be finding them. Hire me for QA. Actually, don't. Awful pay and terrible hours. Gaming gallery.
Yes.
Is it going to go in?
Yes.
How do you want to... What level of seal of approval, award, whatever the fuck we call this thing? Gold, silver, platinum, bronze. Don't know why I did it in that order. Confuse everyone.
I don't really know with this one.
Scared. He wants to... See, it's what I think. He wants to give it gold, but he doesn't feel it's substantial enough.
Yeah. No, exactly. But is that... I mean, what? I still did 30 odd hours in this. Like, I spent. I mean, I don't know how much that was Paul's. It shouldn't be that much. I did spend quite a bit of time in this game because I enjoyed it, and I did like it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the story. But it feels.
I mean, pound for pound, it's probably better than the original. Like a lot of some of it, like the crime, like there's less faff. There's less annoyances, there's less collectible to it.
Yeah.
But then it comes back. Like we always keep saying these games are too bloated, and then when we get offered a more leaner experience, here we are squinting at it.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
I think I have to give it a gold. And I don't mean that I have to, but I think it's so obviously for obvious reasons so similar to Spider-Man. I think the personal story is better, but I think that the overall kind of enemy story is worse and feels a little bit soulless. But the powers I like the combat was good and solid. It looks great. So yeah, I think I will give it a gold as well, in line with Spider-Man. I don't see how I can give that a gold and this not. Like I think for what it is, and I played it. You know, I haven't even got a cost basis to say I paid X amount for Spider-Man, X amount for Miles Morales, because I played them both with my PS Plus subscription. So yeah, I think it's just as good. I liked it.
Yep, fair enough. I'm going to give it a silver because of those very minor soft locking issues, I think, and because of the elements I didn't quite like on the story front. I felt like it was lacking in that one area. Also, I had this weird thing happen. I had two weird things. I don't know whether one of them's definitely shouldn't have happened, but the other thing I don't know, and I'd be interested to see whether I can farm that memory of yours, which I know is unreliable, to see whether I can get to the bottom of it. But,
you're right, it definitely is. So
the first thing that absolutely shouldn't have happened was I got to the end of a like a side activity. You know, maybe you've got 6 things to do, and then some of them at the end of it is like, oh, you've done those 6 things. Now there's like a 7th final thing, and that's where you get your reward. Like it might be just go here and find something. It might be doing a specific task. It could be a number of things. So anyway, I did these 6 things. And then the marker comes up for the 7th thing, like the additional task for you to go and do. I go and do it, handle it, it's fine. And, you know, I forget about it. About 6 hours later, I get a call from Pete saying, you've done those 6 things. There's a new 7th thing for you to go and do. I'm like, what? I've done it, you fucking prat. So at some point, the game forgot to give me the voice trigger to tell me to go and do the 7th thing. So obviously the Ronnieism, that annoyed me, because I was like, well, how's that happened?
Yeah.
How have I known to go there? And then I wasn't going to reset 5 hours worth of progress over that, but when that happens, it gets dinged for that. The second thing was, for some reason, so there's a number of side quests, and I think a couple of them have like 2, maybe 3 stages to them. Like you do one part of the side quest, then you continue the story, and it unlocks a second sort of follow-up or a conclusion to it. So I did the side quests as soon as they were open, pretty much, and then they just disappeared. There was no follow-up until after I'd finished the main game. And now I don't know whether that's how the game is structured and whether you can remember doing those, or whether the game locked me out of them inadvertently and didn't show them. And the only reason I say that second point is because at one point when I was swinging round, I was hitting that scan button, and it was bringing up a marker for one of the names of the second side quests, but it weren't on the map. It was just showing up in the world, but I was ignoring it because I couldn't figure out exactly where it was. And the little name was popping up in the mission bit. And then the main mission ticked over and it said, right, come and do this. It disappeared. Once I'd finished all that, suddenly 3 or 4 side missions appeared on the map. And I was like, I wonder whether they got froze out by accident or whether that's intentional, that you don't finish them off until after the main story.
Yeah, so I had a couple of side quests that rocked up after the main story, but I thought that was by design.
Fine.
Yeah, I didn't see that as... Because I did the game, got the credits, then had a couple of these side quests rock up, and I was like, oh, like that's. It seemed a bit odd because it's like, why would I get? But I guess those credits can roll when the main story's done. Like you don't have to do the side stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe this is just kind of like nice little way to end the game or sort of closing out a few bits. So I didn't really notice that. But one thing that did happen was, and I don't think it's necessarily at the same point as, I think I know what you're talking about. But I remember, I don't know whether it was just when I loaded the game up again after doing it, or whether something happened and it sort of jibbed out. I can't quite remember. I don't think there was any jibbing, but basically I did this kind of final bit.
Yeah.
Then it come up. I reloaded the game at one point, and it come up saying that you got to go and do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've already done it.
I must say, I didn't have to go and do it again, but it was just the game mechanically thought I hadn't done it, and it was telling me to go and do it. And it did come up for a little while, and then disappeared. So at some point, something in the back end when he's done that. So it wiped itself off.
For some reason, when I did it, I can't remember what happened, but basically, I thought, oh, I've like done something here that's upset it.
Yeah.
And I basically went back to that point where the side quest was, because I was like, oh, have I finished it or have I not? Like, I think what might have happened was I was waiting to go out or something. So I did what I thought was the end of the mission and then just like exited the game. When I come back to it again, I had this kind of like prompt that come up to go back there. I was like, oh, maybe I didn't do it then. So yeah, I went back through it and it was just asking me to redo it. So I was like, no, and I just left the area and it disappeared, and that was that. But I was a bit like, I assumed that was because I hadn't quite finished that quest.
Yeah.
Not that it jibbed out, but maybe it is just a jib.
Yeah. Mine definitely was, because it was asking me to go and do it, and then it came up and disappeared. As for the side missions, I let it off for that, but it's still getting a silver, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Decision. Well, it better be. There's no independent reviews on these, so once they're in, they're in. That's what people have to deal with. Anyway, we're going to close down this particular episode of Idle Game Chat. I hope you enjoyed tuning in, and we'll look forward to Spider-Man 2 in the near future. Yeah. But just quickly, is that a day oneer for you, or is it a wait and see approach? Because it'll be a 70 UK pounder if it is.
It feels like it could be a day oneer, but it depends what else I'm drawn into. I mean, it doesn't have to be a day one for me, I think is where I'm at. I mean, I've penciled it in to say I'll be playing that, but if it comes out and it's a bit rough or something, I'll happily wait. Yeah,
needs to be looked at, doesn't it? Take into consideration in case there's problems. But yeah, I mean, barring that, I'm basically in. So
I'll be there for it. I think I don't see why I wouldn't be.
No, absolutely not. Right, nothing more for us to say other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.